Welcome to the official launch of Self-Powered Healing. I am Barbara McNeely, the creator of Self-Powered Healing. Before I explain what Self-Powered Healing is about, I want to tell you a couple of stories. I met a lady named Sue about 12, 13 years ago, and she invited me to hear her story of healing from cancer. She was diagnosed with multiple myeloma in 1999, and the doctors told her she had just 3 years to live. She was not having anything to do with that. She told that doctor, "You don't understand. I'm going to watch my grandchildren grow up." Well, the thing was, Sue had 2 sons. One was married, the other wasn't, and she had no grandchildren at the time. But that was beside the point. That she knew she would have grandchildren, and she fully intended to watch them grow up. She sought modalities for healing outside of what might be considered mainstream medicine. And she did heal her cancer. She went back to this doctor several times. He would test and not find the cancer, but he wouldn't admit that it was gone until finally he did admit that, yes, it was gone, that she was cured. That happened around 3 years after she first saw him. Around the time that he had told her she would be passing was when he finally declared that she had been cured of her cancer. Today, Sue is alive and well and enjoying watching her granddaughters grow up. When I heard Sue's story, it was like it was meant to be that I heard her story, because there was this idea in me suddenly that those stories needed to be told. Now, finally, I am starting this project because I want to tell stories like that. We need hope in our world. With all of the cancer and illness that we have in our world, it's far too common, and we need to tell more stories like Sue's and another one I'm going to tell you in a moment, to give us all hope, really to change the paradigm offered by our current healthcare system, a system that offers us a gloomy prognosis. A prognosis that, by the way, is based solely on some numbers, some statistics, this average that they've come up with. I'm kind of a math nerd and a science nerd both. I know what a statistic is. An average says that 3 years is the average length of time someone lives with this multiple myeloma. That means to get that average, you had to have people that lived longer as well as people that lived less time. So when they give you that 3 years, too often people will take that as this is what is going to happen. I'm going to live, and then 3 years from now, I'm going to be gone. And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. Soon after I heard Sue's story, I started reading and finding that there were more and more stories out there like that. And then a book came out by a lady named Anita Moorjani. Her book is called Dying to Be Me. And that book is the story of her near-death experience. In 2002, Anita was diagnosed with lymphoma. For 4 years, she dealt with the cancer and searched for alternative treatments, something that could cure her cancer. Ultimately, though, that did not happen. After 4 years, in February of 2006, she went into a coma, an end-stage coma. Her organs were shutting down, and her doctors had no hope that she would survive. While she was in that coma, though, she was awake and aware. She could see into the room where her body lay and could hear her family talking, and they were sad. And she was trying to tell them, "Don't be sad. I feel fine. I feel great where I am." She could hear the doctor and see the doctor in another room talking about her case. And she could even see her brother, Anup, who was flying from India to Hong Kong to see her one last time. So she's in this different realm, which she describes as a beautiful place, a loving place, and a place of full acceptance, regardless of whatever we think of in this world that judges people. She met with her father, really the essence of her father. There were no actual bodies in this realm. And she also met with her friend Sony, who had died 3 years earlier from a cancer. She described it as a beautiful experience and that she learned a lot about life and love while she was there. Her father was kind of showing her around, and he got to a point and he said, "Anita, we're as far as we can go. If you go any further, you can't turn and come back." She needed to decide, would she stay in that realm, in that beautiful place, or would she return to her body and her family? Ultimately, she decided to return to her body. She somehow knew that she would heal upon returning. She came out of that coma after 30 hours, and the doctors were shocked to even think that she was coming out of the coma. Her organs began to function again, and her tumors began to melt away. And over the next several weeks, the doctors were trying to treat her cancer and trying to find her cancer, and ultimately couldn't find it. Over those same 5 weeks, she healed and got strong again. And at 5 weeks after her near-death experience, Anita walked out of the hospital and is alive and well. That story is, to me, an amazing story, and I encourage you to maybe not buy the book, but at least find her TED Talk. It's easy to find online and hear her in her own words tell her story. I believe that these stories need to be told. More of them need to be told so that more people know. We've all been touched by cancer or illness, whether it's ourselves or our family. It's far too common, and I want to tell stories to bring hope. That's why I'm creating Self-Powered Healing. The reason I named it Self-Powered Healing has to do with our innate ability to heal and the things that we can do to unleash that healing abilities. But I also want to look at some other things, like why doesn't everyone heal? Why do some people heal and others don't? And why do some people resist that healing? What really prevents our healing from happening? And more, where does illness come from? Why do we get sick? How can we unleash our innate healing abilities? Because we can do things that will help our ability to heal. And that's why it's called self-powered healing. So those are all some of the topics that I'll be exploring, but along with stories. I plan to have interviews with people who have had what might be considered a miracle healing, stories like Sue's and Anita's. They might seem like miracles, but really, what is a miracle? In my opinion, a miracle is simply an event that our current understanding of science cannot explain. We are all magnificent creatures, each of us born with innate healing abilities. In fact, one of the first things you did after you were born was to heal. They cut that umbilical cord, and there was a wound, and your body went to work to heal that wound, and it's been healing ever since. So tell me, do you have a healing story? Would you like to share it or talk about sharing it? Just visit selfpoweredhealing.com/share to set up a no-commitment chat with me. We can decide then whether you want to go forward. Or do you know someone who has a healing story? Share this message with them and invite them to visit selfpoweredhealing.com/share. Thanks for being here today, and I hope you'll come back for more because there will be a lot more. New possibilities only show up if you're open to them, so always have an open mind. And remember this, you are a magnificent being with powerful innate healing abilities.